So, first of all, if this is your first time using Remo, welcome. My name is E.T. I'm the CEO of Array, and we are all gathered here today for a very special event. We will be graduating 10 very awesome folks tomorrow, and 3 months of education at Array has kind of accumulated to today. And then we're going to take some breaks and celebrate everyone tomorrow. So again, thank you very much for joining us. It's been really an exciting couple of months. So if you're new to Remo, you can see that we have a chat over here. So if you have questions throughout the presentations, feel free to either raise your hand and or post in the chat. You can chat with everyone. You can chat with the table that you were at. Depending on how long these go, each of our boot campers will have about 10 minutes to present their capstone projects and then about 5 minutes of Q&A. So I will kind of be your master of ceremonies for this afternoon. And then don't forget, tomorrow is graduation. So from 2 to 4, you can go to Array's Facebook page, join the same Remo link, and we'll be celebrating all of our boot campers and all of their accomplishments. So we hope that you join us for that. And then I will also be posting another event. We're going to kind of do like a little after party from 4 to 6 tomorrow using another system, which I think will be kind of fun. So yes, Godspeed boot campers. We are super excited. I have been holding my breath for 30 days. Wondering what you all have been coming up with, and I've heard some really great things, and really excited for you to present. So definitely use the Q&A, the chat, if you have any questions about our boot campers projects. And also, if you're interested in coming to Array, our next boot camp begins on February. And we do have online applications available at arrayschool.com. And that's going to be a 16-week boot camp, also starring our Director of Instruction, Matt Lindley. And so we're really excited. And all of our boot camps and all of our jobs in 2021 are remote. So we are accepting people from all around the country. So we are super excited. And thank you again all very much. We hope you enjoyed the presentations and give support to our boot campers. As a reminder, our 10 boot campers began on September 14th, which is just a little over 3 months ago. Many of them walked into Array with either little or no coding experience. So this will be a real true testament of what were they able to accomplish. And super exciting that most of them are going to be moving into our apprenticeship on January 4th. So we're really excited to welcome you all. And I'm going to be quiet now because this is not about me. This is not about Matt, but this is really about taking a look at all of our wonderful, talented boot campers. So Matt, our Director of Instruction, who has been teaching, mentoring, coaching all of our boot campers for the last 3 months remotely. Why don't you go ahead and come down on stage and maybe say a few words before we begin the project presentation. So I think, Matt, you can hit the camera on and mic on button, and I will then hopefully be able to disappear. So Mr. Lindley, please come up to stage. Let's see, stop video, ask to unmute. Yes, drum roll. Brrr. Matt, where are you? Let's see if, oh, there we go. We got it figured out. So I will stop off. Thank you, Mr. Lindley. I will now.
Technical school, by the way. Okay. Yeah. So, hey, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and watch Array's 2020 Fall Boot Camp Capstone Showcase. I'll try not to take up too much of the time here because, like E.T. mentioned, it's about the students, not about us. But my name is Matt Lindley. I'm a software engineer turned Director of Instruction here at Array. But I'm also the professor to all the students you're here to see today. So for the last 4 months, I've been honored to work with all these new but fine developers as they push through the curriculum. I want to take just a second to explain to me what it means to be an Array Bootcamp graduate, which all 10 students will become tomorrow. So when it comes to responsibilities of web engineers in today's remote world, the largest asset any developer can have is their raw technical skills, right? So this is pretty standard. A web developer, any company needs to be able to write code, whether it's JavaScript, HTML, or CSS. They need to be able to handle large, complex libraries in these languages like React. And to be truly considered a full stack developer, they also need to be able to build servers and databases that both translate and store the data that their applications are going to rely on. So all of these valuable skills are taught during these intensive 4 months to turn these students into an employee that any company would value on their development team. Right? So something that I also focused heavily on, though, is that the students weren't just learning the technical skills that I was teaching, but also were learning how to learn on their own. So something that I learned quickly during my time as a software developer was that learning to learn was an indispensable trait. So this is because when you're thrown into the deep end of code at a company, having that ability to learn will quickly end up becoming your life jacket, right? So it's something you can rely on to keep yourself going or keep yourself pushing. And the ability to keep up with the times of software is just an invaluable trait. So if my students were to walk into a brand new job and a project manager sits them down and says, hey, can you guys work with this new technology? Like nobody's done it before. My students would very confidently be able to say, yeah, I can do that because of their ability to learn. But that's also not all that we teach at Array. We also taught in an agile environment with a 2-week project system. We taught them how to work in teams and use relevant tools like Git and GitHub. We infused the Cheyenne community and some of the companies that work there with our group projects, teaching the students the very real pressures and issues that came with client meetings and expectations. Some were even elevated to secondary positions during the projects, like project managers or technical leads for their teams as well. Array will even go so far as to dive into a fully dedicated curriculum of design and the fundamentals of the aesthetics of a website. So kind of all of these traits together transform the students into invaluable team members and reliable, well-rounded web engineers and really passionate workers. So something to think about while we all sit back and relax and kind of watch the presentations created by the very nervous students is that the coding language that they've actually used on their capstones was not taught by me in the curriculum. So to pretty drive my point home on learning to learn, their final challenge in the boot camp was to create a desktop or mobile application using a technology that they've learned, struggled, and worked entirely with on their own, with no assistance from me as the instructor. So finally, yeah, I promise I wouldn't take too much time, but I do want to describe what I find to be the most valuable trait that an Array student has, and that's kind of their stories. So with backgrounds ranging from teachers to oil field workers to politicians to musicians, they all kind of shared one thing, and that's a desire for a lifestyle change. They really put their lives on hold for the last 4 months and then worked with me to change the way their future is going to go. And I think that's kind of what Array is all about. So without me taking up too much more time, that's all I have to say. So yeah, let's get it started with Mr. Justice Dunn.
Never mind, disregard that message in the chat. Okay. So hey everyone, I'm Justice Dunn, and I'm an Array boot camper and soon to be Array apprentice. I've been a programmer / computer scientist kind of off and on or computer science enthusiast off and on for a few years now. And I hadn't really pursued that as a career until more recently. So before learning about Array, I was a student at UW. I was bouncing between a few different majors like music, computer science, psychology, and Japanese. And I also had a brief stint at a different computer science boot camp, Hack Reactor, but I ended up leaving after a few days because I wanted to keep pursuing college. Anyway, money was getting tight, and I'm all for drowning in debt for a few decades, but I thought it would be a bit more prudent to go for a career that is both interesting to me and that I can make a comfortable living off of. So I've heard about Array before, but at the time they were just doing a boot camp with tuition. So I kept my eye on them, and the apprenticeship program came into existence at just the right time when I was looking for a new avenue to explore. So throughout the 2020 spring semester, I was working hard, and I applied, and with a little bit of luck and some hard work, I got accepted into that program. And that brings us to today. So I'm only getting started at Array, but after completing my apprenticeship, I would like to do a few things. For one, I think I'd eventually try to work at one of the major FANG tech companies so I can get some more experience working in a professional tech setting. And I can use that comfortable salary they provide to finish my bachelor's, get a master's hopefully, then also fund my pursuits in jazz piano, digital art, and 3D animation. That is plenty about me. So let me describe my app. I developed this app as a solution for a problem that I often face. Due to my many interests, from like programming to music composition and everything else I listed, I've often had to use my time in the most productive way possible. And for me, the best solution to do that is through a to-do list. And the to-do list is really useful because it allows your mind having to hold all those thoughts in your head, and you can just focus on each individual task as it comes up. But I found that there's one glaring issue with to-do lists, and that there's no really accountability. You can really just lose your motivation and do a task half-heartedly, and you can check it off, sure, but you didn't live up to your potential. You didn't learn as much as you could. So I created this app, which compared to other apps, other apps will gamify productivity, make it more addictive, which is useful, but I think that can only feed into that tendency towards laziness. So to counter that laziness, I thought, what better force than peer pressure? So that's where my app Taskmaster comes in, which I will share with you now. Okay. So from the outside, Taskmaster just seems like a simple to-do list app. You add whatever tasks that you want to complete to your list, and you check them off upon completion. However, the app has one caveat. You have to finally fully clear a task, you have to have a friend that you've befriended on the app check out your evidence. You have to upload photographic evidence with each task, and they can either accept or deny it. If they accept it, then the task is wiped from your slate, and if they deny it, you can take that as a hint that you need to do it again or really finish the task to the best of your ability. And that way, friends can keep each other in check, and they can all achieve their goals together. So now let's actually explore the app. So what you've been staring at is a pretty standard login screen, nothing special, but it's somewhat of an achievement for me compared to what I was able to do not but a couple months ago. So I've been using React Native, as most of us have, or many of us have, which allowed me to use a single code base to create an app for both iOS and Android and the web if I had wanted. So I'm going to register a new account here on this Bizarro iPhone. Let's do presentation. Let's see. Simple password. Oh, wait, my mistake. Give me a second. I forgot to start my server. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. And as you may or may not have been able to hear, I'm using an external API known as Expo AV to play sounds on my app. That's one of the technologies I decided to learn while I was developing this app. So here we're on the task screen. As you can see, it's empty right now, but I'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to go to my profile and upload a profile image. These are just some default images that come with the iPhone's emulator. I'm using Amazon Web Services to store all the images, and it takes code, which is one of the issues, but to find, try that again. Okay, you'll find that once it does load, the avatar will actually show up. Give it another second, maybe. Maybe. Anyway, that's one of the issues I found with Amazon Web Services, is that it can be quite slow. So we'll just move on, and I'll create a new task. So let's say I want to exercise. I want to repeat that a few days a week, say 4 days a week, and I'll pick a background color that I like. I'll do purple. And we can see we've created the task, and it's currently unfinished. So what I want to do is upload some evidence for this task after I completed it. So let's upload a random image currently. And that is what's happening. You can see I don't have any friends, so no one's there to check off my task. So what I'm going to do is add a friend via email. Add them, and then I'm going to log in said friend on this Android version of the app. And add my friend back. And as you can see, a task with the uploaded evidence has been put here. So we open up the task and hopefully the evidence will actually load. There we go. Okay, the image is actually loaded this time. Sorry about that. But I can look at that and choose either to deny or accept it. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to deny that. Say it's not good enough. You need to work a little bit harder. And so that's going to be when this user logs back in, they can see that their status was denied. So they'll have to try again, upload some different evidence. So let's upload a different picture. Again, in practice, this will be actual photographic evidence of having completed the task. But nonetheless, let me also show some evidence of the other tasks that were sent. If it will load. There we go. You can accept the task, and then when this user logs back in, let me refresh or reload, so it has to log back in. You can see that the task has been clear, the ones that were accepted. The profile picture finally loaded. So that's essentially it for the basic to-do app. It's a pretty simple thing. So I'm going to just log out on both accounts. It's a pretty simple app and it solves kind of a personal issue for me, but I think it could be found useful by quite a few other people, especially after I add some additional functionality. So I think that the developing process for this app was really educational, and I'm aware that the target audience is pretty niche, but I'm really proud of the work that I've done and everything I learned through it. I want to thank the incredible teacher, Matt Lindley. He's been absolutely wonderful the past few months. And I want to thank everyone at Array, all of my fellow boot campers, apprentices, and staff members. And just through each of them, they all played a part in this project in one way or another. Everyone has taught me something or helped me learn more about something else, or I've helped them and gained some more experience that way. Everyone has had a part to do in this, even though it was a solo project. So upon delivering this presentation, even though there's some bugs throughout, as you may have seen, I feel like a somewhat competent developer. And I'm very much aware that I have so much more to learn, but I find that being aware of how little you know is one of the early telltale signs of developing some basic competency in any field. So I would like to open up the floor to any questions.
Yay. Well, thank you, Justice. So here we go. Great job. All right. So we have a few minutes to take any questions for Justice. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post it in the chat or use the Q&A. So really quick, Justice, why the Taskmaster app as your final capstone?
So I think, I mean, we have like different interests and whatnot, and we were kind of told to consider doing those for our apps. But because my interests are so varied, and not to say anyone else's art, but like I have things from music to programming, like I said, I find that the one kind of connecting thread between them all is that I need to learn them. I need to put time into them. And that's one of the things I struggle with, even with to-do apps or to-do list. I have trouble being as productive as I could, living up to my own standards. So I created this app as a kind of way to mitigate that.
Cool. And then from Mr. Lindley, the last question, what was the hardest challenge you faced during the development of this application?
I think the most difficult challenge is mostly all the little things. Like throughout the program, we learned Roku, servers, databases, all of that, and I could apply that. But as you saw throughout my presentation, there were a couple of bugs, a couple of slow things, just trying to figure out these new technologies. It's all the little things that accumulate together to form the final app that are just really difficult to kind of get down and perfect. and hopefully with some more time I can perfect this.
Awesome. Well done, Justice. Super proud of you. Congratulations on presenting your capstone project, and we'll see you tomorrow at graduation. So until then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next boot camper at Array. So I will invite, all right, here we go. I'm looking for it. Megan O'Brien, will you please come to the stage? And you've got 10 minutes to present your capstone project to everyone. So, hi, Megan.
Hi.
All right, so I'm going to leave now. So it's all you.
All right. Hi. So thank you for coming. My name is Megan O'Brien. I am originally from the Madison area of Wisconsin, but I moved to Cody, Wyoming, about 4 years ago for work, actually. Before Array, I was a respiratory therapist. For about 7 years, I was in the field. Some in the I worked some in the Midwest and some in Cody. But during that time, I became pretty burnt out on healthcare very quickly, actually. 7 years isn't very long to be in a field, but you know when something isn't right for you. What I enjoyed about healthcare was like the helping others part. I am always all for helping others and caring for people, but ultimately it was overwhelming in the fact, mentally overwhelming, physically overwhelming, and definitely emotionally overwhelming. So I burnt out. But during that time, I learned a lot about healthcare technology, like the electronic medical record. I really got interested in how that worked, and I loved teaching my coworkers how to use it, how to get through things faster, how to just how to use it. I was basically an instructor for it. I taught others how to chart on patients and do it quickly and efficiently. Anyway, so as I was burning out on healthcare, I was looking into technology. I was originally going to go to the Array regular boot camp before the apprenticeship, but lo and behold, right when I was looking, they announced the apprenticeship. So at the time of that announcement, I started learning CSS and HTML. I started with trying to build a website. I did build a website. It's okay compared to my work now. It's nothing like my work now. But anyways, so I built that website in practice in hopes to get into the apprenticeship, which I did, which I was super thankful. And I feel very blessed to be in this program. So during the program, the boot camp, I've learned JavaScript mainly, like libraries and everything that goes along with JavaScript, servers. And I feel like I've learned so much. So many projects helped me develop my skills. But for this project, I decided to take on a new language called Flutter and Dart. And it was quite a lot to take to do in 1 month, but I managed to come up with something. So my app is called, this brings me to my app. My app is called Meal Blueprint. So Meal Blueprint is pretty much for, I would say, a very small amount of people. Maybe not. I think a small amount of people, but it's for those kind of people that like to cook, but don't like to cook with a recipe. But they still want to remember what they put in the recipe. It's kind of confusing, but basically what my app will do is while you're cooking, you can add ingredients through this API database, this API that I've got from the USDA, the government pretty much, their food database. And what I do is I search it, I add it to a list, and then I can display that list, kind of like a recipe in a cookbook. So let's get to the app. Share my screen. The right one. Okay. So this is the main screen. This is where you'd sign in or register. Right now I have it on the register. So first off, I am going to do a fake email. We'll just do O-B-R-I-E-N. That's my last name. Test. That is not my email though. And we're going to register. Got my little loading screen and we're logged in. Now, just to show you that you can log in, because I'm going to log out and then hit the login button. Oops, I hit the sign in button. Because I could work around this, but I didn't. I got this going in my database. And my authentication and everything's working great. Okay, so this is the main screen. This is what you're greeted with when you log in after you've registered and signed in. So first, you're gonna to start adding to your list, you're going to hit this. It's called a floating action button, otherwise known as just a button. So I'm going to call this. It's kind of an inside joke, but an apple recipe. Okay. I made the first example I made was an apple sandwich, so I'm going to do it again. Or maybe I'll do a different apple recipe. I'm not sure. So once you added the title of your recipe, you're going to add ingredients. This is where the API comes into play, where I'm calling another external source. They're basically how they search. I search their source and then bring back specific results. So we're going to make, we'll make an apple sandwich. So we're going to start with the bread. There's a lot of instances of bread. If I had the nutrition value and all that stuff, it'd be a little bit more specific. I'll show you what I mean. Bread, and then we need butter for spreading, because we're going to fry this apple sandwich. We're going to put some Gala apples. And then how about sugar? Why not? And then just to show you that there's a little something different, there's we're going to do 2% milk on the side. If I hit enter. Darn it. Oh, there it is. Okay, 2% milk. All right. Now we're going to add all the ingredients to my database with this button. So as I was clicking on items, it was kind of storing in a list. Now I'm going to store that list in my database with the click of that button. And then I'm going to go out here. I've got my recipe title, and I'm going to save. At the bottom, my recipe was added. And let's take a look. My cookbook is up here, and this is called a drawer in Flutter and Dart. I'm going to go into the Blueprint Cookbook. My apple recipes there waiting for me. And look at that. We got our recipe. So this is this database was Firebase and Firestore, just the technical stuff. And it was quite a bit of work. It was actually the hardest part of my project, I think, is kind of creating that portion. Really, I wanted to mention that there's some things I would love to add to this, and I will add to it as the time goes by, as I'm learning more. I'd like to add nutrition to this. So therefore, I would have to add measurements to it. Like for butter, I'd have to add 1 tablespoon of butter, and that equals, I don't know how many calories, probably more than I think. And then serving size. So I'd like to be able to total up a whole meal, divide it by the amount of servings you give, and then get the nutritional values. These are things I really want to continue to work on in this project because I love it. So anyways, that's pretty much the end. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching our presentations. I also want to thank Matt Lindley for being such a great teacher and really believing in me and really helping me out when I had some personal problems near the beginning of the class. And I want to thank the whole class for helping me through that too. Really means a lot. And at that point, I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up to questions.
Yay! Well done, Megan. So let me get the sound effect. There we go. Yay! All right. So we have some time for some questions. So if you want to post them in the Q&A section, we can talk to Megan about her app. What was the easiest thing about your app?
The easiest thing? There wasn't a lot easy about it, but probably displaying the text.
Yeah.
Figuring out, no, it was a brand new language. It was all hard.
Yeah. You were the only one out of the 10 boot campers that decided to go with Flutter and Dart. For those of you who are not technical, it's another framework for building mobile apps for iOS and Android. And I will take Mr. Hammock's question, which is a techie question. Did you use Block for state management?
I so wanted to, but I think I bit off too much in the beginning, and I should have initiated Block in the beginning. You know what I mean? That's just the best way to do it, and I didn't. So my project looks beautiful, but it could be better code-wise. So Block is great for that.
Cool. I'll take one more question. So this is from your professor, Mr. Lindley. How difficult was it to pick up and apply Dart Flutter concepts after spending 4 months learning a different language? Because we did not teach you Flutter and Dart in the bootcamp, right? So how difficult was that?
The first week I immersed myself in the new language. So I don't know. It was really difficult, but it's totally doable because things relate to each other. Like, I don't know, even the documentation for Flutter shows how it relates to React Native. And so you can apply obviously you apply the basic concepts of programming to the new language. So you just have to get through some of that more tricky stuff, which I worked on real hard.
All right, final question. From Carrie Gillis, what is your next recipe?
I don't know what I'm cooking tonight, but it'll go in there, and I hope it'll be good. It won't be apples. I'm done with apples.
All right, so are we going to convene on Cody for dinner tonight? Do you have
I don't have that much food. No, I don't got that much food. It's all in the freezer.
Nice. Well, congratulations again, Megan. Great job. And we'll see you at graduation tomorrow. So, woohoo! Way to go, Megan.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Next up, I would like to invite Stephen. Will you come to stage and present your final capstone project? So here you go. Voila. All right. I will bow out. It's all you, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I am proud to be the boot camp student responsible for skewing the average age up considerably. I have enjoyed being the butt of many good-natured jokes about my age, the age of my computer, and the age of my design choices, and the fact that I turn in my code on punch cards. You get the theme of the jokes. I have also cherished watching these young whippersnappers from a paternal viewpoint as they learn and grow and succeed. So this boot camp really came at the right time for me for many, many reasons. I have, prior to this, I worked 10 years. I was self-employed as a title analyst. I researched surface and mineral and royalty ownership for clients around the state. The job was intellectually challenging, but it wasn't very rewarding or creatively stimulating. And if I'm being honest, it was becoming more and more difficult to reconcile with some concerns I have about our planet. Prior to that, I worked as a director and instructor for a local nonprofit children's theater. That was the best job I ever had. It embraced my passions. It provided a creative outlet. I looked at it as a youth ministry unaffiliated with a church. Before that, I worked on and then supervised a call center tech support team for a national office supply chains website. During that time, I started playing with Linux. I built computers, home networks, stuff like that. I even taught myself a little bit of Visual Basic so that I could automate the completion of my TPS reports. Last March, though, my career went from full-time to full stop in the space of about a week, and I floundered for a bit. I jumped into audiobook narration. I have completed over 30 books since April, but that doesn't pay the bills yet. I also joined a volunteer group called the WTCC, the Wyoming Technology Coronavirus Coalition, which was led by E.T., Array's illustrious leader. I was eventually hired by that group as a project lead, focused on economic development for part-time work, which thankfully it put E.T. and I into a manager-employee relationship. And in one of our one-on-ones regarding my career track, the software development and this boot camp came up. And so I dove in. With that in mind, the project idea came from a genuine need in our household. I have 3 kids, 2 sons in college and a 16-year-old daughter. And thanks to COVID, and I say this very sincerely, my boys are all back in the house. They're studying remotely, and one of their girlfriends will even be joining us shortly. So we went from a nearly empty house to a full house with 6 adults. And I have been blessed with additional time with my family unit. But we have to feed them. So we are constantly looking for meals. We're scheduling those meals. We're gathering ingredients. We're creating shopping lists and repeat ad infinitum. I wanted to create an app that would help us to do exactly that. So enter Nom Nom. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Now, first off, the name, it just made me giggle, so I went with it. Nom is Latin for name. The Urban Dictionary defines nom nom as a sound that is made when you're eating and also something tasty or nutritious. And then lastly, I named the database Nom, and the username and password for the database are Nom. So when I log in my database string in this Express server, it's nom nom nom. For those of you counting at home, that is the rare triple entendre. So the Nom Nom is a mobile app developed in React Native via Expo using TypeScript. I may go back and reconfigure this as a web app because I want to host it locally, but I wanted to learn React Native because a web app is a good skill to have. It's using Node.js and Express Server for the backend. I use Google's material themes using the React Native paper package so that I have a consistent and simple interface. I wasn't terribly concerned about branding because my client user base at this point is my wife and I. And the style I jokingly refer to as IKEA, part E.E. Cummings. You'll see that design is not really my strength. That's not how I express myself artistically, apparently. But I do see the strength of that, and I think Berner and Matt will attest that it's not my strength. But I do really enjoy connecting systems and working on the back end. To that end, for example, I am using a local Mongo database server. I have a first generation Surface laptop that I use as kind of a makeshift home server. And on that, I am running VirtualBox, which is a hypervisor. And I created a Debian Linux distribution running a MongoDB server, which I then access remotely. I also am running a Tomcat server for stuff. And I will eventually host this on that. If I can get it to compile web, I'll do that. If not, I may do the web app that I referred to earlier. So if we look at the interface for this, and I will tell you, I am pushing the limits of my work computer and pushing it to its limits. So I wasn't able to get Android Simulator running. So I am streaming an old Pixel. So it's very washed out. I'll tell you, the colors look a lot better on the phone, but you hopefully can see what I'm doing here. First off, this is our homepage. I did take this picture. I channeled my inner Ansel Adams and took this the other night when we were cooking pork chops, I think it was. The usage pattern, basically, the pages they flow from left to right. So the first thing that you do if you go to the search page, this accesses an API called Edamon. It returns 10 results from your query, which are then, I just map them to display as cards linking to the respective pages. So for example, if I want to find a beef meal, I'll click search and wait a bit. And I am partial to tacos. So you can, if you click website, this links to the website. It pops up an overlay with a web view, and so you can browse and decide if this is the thing you want, and it turns out it is the thing that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and add the meal. Now you can also search for numerous things. For example, my wife is gluten-free, so free. And we'll go ahead and take a look, and there's gluten-free pancakes, multi-grain bread. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but we're going to add it though. Let's see. This is from Megan. And where was the one that I found the other night? My wife saw this picture and thought that was beef, so she doesn't want to. We're going to add it anyway. So then once these items are added, this dumps to the local database that I am talking about, and it then shows up under the meals library. So this is essentially all of the meals that I have added to my database. Again, I just use the card display, links to the recipe. The database doesn't provide an actual recipe, so this just links to their website again. And if you scroll down here, you can see that it added absolutely nothing. Why did it not add those? How's that for a, let me reload. It's so odd and rare that you would have tech issues during a display. There we go. So here's the items that we just added, and if I click on recipe, that will take you to the website. If I click ingredients, then it brings up the ingredients for the beef tacos, for example. You can check that. There's your apple sandwiches recipe. Again, these are all loaded locally. This allows you to scroll through, determine which meals you think you're going to use for the week. And then if you go to the calendar, then this allows you to select the various meals for the week. So right now I've got, these are the items that I have, that we've planned. But if you click update meal, that pops up an overlay with the various items, including the ones that we've just added. So for example, we could say that we're going to do tacos for Wednesday. And we've got tacos slated for Wednesday. This then goes to another collection in the database that I have created for the purposes of generating a shopping list of all of the items that are on the meal database. And as you scroll through here, so then the idea being you take your phone and you go look in front of your fridge and say, oh, we already have peach preserves. We can get rid of that. We already have optional. The database, the Edamame database, the list that it generates, the ingredients list, I can't control that. I have this split out as an array using a comma. So obviously at times it creates an item that is not actually, but you can go through here and delete that. Then once you've gone through and deleted the items that you have in your fridge, you just simply take this to the store and say, oh, no, we bought hot sauce. Oh, we bought olive oil, etc. So I'm really working on creating a usable app that we can use to generate our meals, our shopping list, etc. Finally, one stretch goal that I had was to try to incorporate Alexa into this, and that turned out to be doable but challenging. I was impressed to find, or I was pleased to find, that the back end for the Alexa Skills Kit was Node.js, which thanks to Matt, I'm semi-fluent in. So I was able to create this, and hopefully you guys can hear. Alexa, open Stephen's Meals.
Opening Nom Nom database.
Yeah, and so with that, what are we eating on Friday? Oh.
That search failed, probably because Stephen stuttered.
I have in my notes, do not do Friday, because I still haven't figured out why, but she cannot do that. What are we eating on Monday?
The meal for Monday is oven roasted barbecue chicken thighs.
And then, of course, the very first day that I ask about is Monday. What are the ingredients of oven roasted barbecue chicken thighs?
Oven roasted barbecue chicken thighs is 3 cups your favorite barbecue sauce, ½ cup peach preserves.
Alexa, stop.
1 clove.
She tends to drone on.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Yeah. So basically that allows us to then utilize the Alexa skills database to access this. In order to do that, I had to open a port in my firewall. I had to forward the port to the Express server, and Alexa, it took me a while to figure this out, but Alexa has to actually go through the Express server and not directly hit the database. So that was a huge challenge, but it was well worth it, and it's opened up a whole world of possibilities for things in the future. And in fact, I'll end on that. Up until this point, I have been gadget and tech oriented, but I would always hit a box. I'd hit a wall where I realized, well, that's a point where, you know, one of my boys is a software engineer. Eventually, I'll ask him how to do that. But thanks to this class and thanks to Matt, I'm realizing, no, I can do it myself. I can. That is no longer a black box. That is just the next step in the project. I have tons of projects. I now realized I can actually complete them. So that's about it. I want to say thank you so much to all this group. I've enjoyed watching you guys work. Each of you individually have wowed me with your abilities. Matt, thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for doing this. And ET, finally, I really appreciate you having some faith in me and suggesting this route. Thank you guys very much.
Yay! All right, let me get my clapping sound effects. Well done, Stephen. Well done. Cool. So let's see. Any quick questions for Stephen? I think that was awesome. I love that you were integrating Amazon Alexa, and that was really, really cool. So questions for Stephen, please. Put them in the Q&A. So what was your, oh, here we go. We got some questions coming in. All right, so we're going to go with Brett. Why did you want to integrate Alexa into it? What made you make that decision?
Well, very good. I do love the concept of a smart home, and I have utilized Alexa skills. There are some basic templates. I did a presentation once in a school where I did a Socratic dialogue between myself and Alexa, and so I think things like that are fascinating. To find out that the actual back-end process is a language that I now know opens that up. I think there's so much possibility there. It was challenging. It was not easy. I have a lot to learn there. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to post to a database. I can get from a database. I'll get there. But anyway, water toast, by the way, disgusting. The ingredients are water and toast.
Well, once again, congratulations, and we will see you at graduation tomorrow. So, all right. So just as a quick heads up for everyone, we have 10 students. We've now done 3. We will take 2 more, then we'll kind of take like a little 5-7 minute break in between. So the list for the rest of the afternoon: Tracy, LeeAnn, Kyle, Patricia, Garrick, Mariah, and then we will end with Sean. So we'll take 2 more, and then we'll take a little 5 or 7 minute break because no one likes to sit at their computer for too long. So, all right. So next up, presenting their final capstone project is Tracy. Tracy, will you please come up on stage?
Hello. Thank you guys for coming and checking out our projects. So my name is Nicole, and before coming to Array, I worked as a professional graphic designer for coming on 8 years. I love design, but I was starting to feel like I needed a little bit more. It wasn't quite scratching the itch that I was having. My last job was creating online courses with the learning management system Canvas, and it reintroduced me to HTML, which I hadn't touched since like MySpace days. So coincidentally enough, during that time, an Array Facebook ad came across my newsfeed advertising for the boot camp and apprenticeship. And I took it as a sign. I applied, and through each step of the application process, I thought there's no way I'm getting in. Like, there's so many other people who've applied, like, no way. But I was really enjoying all the resources that they gave us to prepare for this boot camp. And so I just kept going and enjoying the process. And lo and behold, here I am. I'm still blown away that I've had this opportunity. to attend the boot camp, and I'm looking forward to starting the apprenticeship in January. Being able to have this opportunity to gain experience in a new field after completing this program is huge. And I'm beyond grateful to Array and Matt Lindley and ET for that opportunity. So let me go ahead and show you what I built. Let's see. Where is my app? Technical difficulties here. Hang on. I can see it. Oh, there it is. It was minimized and not showing up as an option. All right. Technology. Fun. Okay. So this is Fitly. I want to preface this with I could care less about fashion. The majority of my shirts are this same black t-shirt or free shirts that I've picked up at conferences or events. However, I got tired of spending so much time shopping and needing to buy, like when I buy new clothes, because of the guesswork that is sizing, especially because of COVID, when you can no longer go into stores and try things on, it got a little bit more tricky. I've been doing pretty much all of my shopping online these days, and have had to return things because they didn't fit, which is such a hassle. Shopping really shouldn't be so complicated. Sizing is subjective from one brand to another, and can actually change from season to season based on marketing strategies. Yeah, you heard that right. Your clothes probably might not fit because of marketing. Especially now that we've heard about food for the last 2 presentations, so this just fits really well. Companies size their clothes based on how they would like their target audience to feel, either bigger or smaller. And this has been going on for so long that sizing is completely arbitrary and it means nothing. Plus, if you actually do find something that fits really well, you're likely to go back and get it again and again, rather than search for another brand that fits. And this promotes brand loyalty, and clothing companies aren't likely to give this up anytime soon to opt for universal sizing. So while I was thinking about making Fitly, I thought about how it would be cool if users could see what would fit their body, regardless of what department it came out of. I, for one, would love to buy a pair of pants out of the men's department so I could actually have pockets and put a phone in it. That would be awesome. But since the sizing is completely different than women's sizing, I found it a little bit intimidating. It compares your measurements against those of real clothing, so you can find what fits you regardless of the number on the tag, the department it came out of, or the store. The database is constantly growing and being refreshed by our users. Currently, there isn't anything out there that is really comparable. There are some stores that offer a similar feature, but it's limited to that store, so you can't search another store's database while you're in there, and sometimes it is even limited to the department. So when you launch the app, you are greeted with the welcome screen. Let's start out with Fitly's branding. I chose a font that skews a little bit more female, since most likely female presenting people will be the primary users of this app, but it also has some hard and clean edges to make it more appealing to other genders as well. I use colors that are bright and energizing to make something that's sometimes a mundane process like shopping seem more playful and fun. And I paired those bright colors with images that call upon more muted tones to balance to find balance and bring those bright colors down a little bit. So as you can see, users can log in, they can sign up, or they can click on the About to learn more about Fitly, which they basically just get a very pared down version of what you just got. So since this is our first time in the app, let's go ahead and sign up. And we're gonna enter our stuff in here. Obviously my real email address, and then a super secret password. All right, so upon submitting our measurements and our user information, we are immediately matched with our matches page. So this shows all the things in the database that will fit. We can scroll down and look at them. We can click and see an image of the item, the brand, the style, as well as what size and measurements we have for them. And we can go through tops and bottoms, dresses, one pieces, and outerwear. So that brings me to the next thing. Let's go ahead and add in a product. What type of clothing will we be adding in today? I've picked out a jacket that we're gonna add, so we're gonna go into outerwear. Brown. And it is a 10, 12, and it's got a 38-inch chest. And then I have a URL. We'll just grab here and paste in. And submit. So we get this alert. You've added your outerwear to our database. Hooray! So let's click, and then we can go in here and see it in here. And there is our jacket. Woohoo! So now let's go into the account page down here. On the account page, you can see our current measurements as well as update them, the current username and password. So with that, thank you again for taking the time to listen to us and view our presentations. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Awesome. Great job, Tracy. Here we go.
Thank you.
So we have a few minutes. If you have questions for Tracy, I will be happy to field them for you. But super cool. So what was the hardest thing about this app?
Everything. Writing it, so it's written in React Native, which is just close enough to React that it's like, oh yeah, I know how to do that, but then it's written completely differently. So that was fun and challenging, and then also getting the server and the back end working.
Ooh, so I'll take one more question, which I think this is a great one from Professor Lindley. So, you came to Array with a lot of design experience. So what was the biggest challenge transitioning from a designer's brain to a developer's brain over the last 4 months?
Yeah, oof. I like to look at things as big picture. And then work my way down, and that is not a helpful mindset to have with development. I need to kind of start small and work my way up to that big picture. Especially starting out, like my development skills are not what I would want for as a designer. I cannot currently create all the things that I can envision, so I need to really start small and build from there. And that's been the most challenging thing.
Nice. My last question would be, for those future designers that might want to make that transition from design to development, any quick advice for them?
Do it. It is so cool to have an idea, be able to design it, and then turn it around and actually develop a real product. That is pretty cool. I don't necessarily want to work in a vacuum by myself, but having that ability to do that is pretty fantastic.
Awesome. Well done, Tracy. Super proud of you. So I will see you tomorrow for graduation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So we're going to take one more, then we'll take a quick little break. But let's go ahead and bring up. We are bringing up LeeAnn. Will you please join me on stage to present your capstone project? Hi, LeeAnn. Oh, look at those plants. You're already melting my heart. I love
Yes,
plants.
I had to set the stage a little bit.
So I'm going to go ahead and leave it up to you.
Please, thank you. Little weird crackling sound going on my computer sometimes, so I'm sorry if you hear that. It might be disruptive. But hello, my name is LeeAnn Grapes. I'm a boot camp student at Array. I just recently moved to Cheyenne from Laramie, but I'm joining you from Casper today. So my roots in Wyoming are something super important to me. Over the last 6 years, I worked as a community organizer, helping people, especially younger folks, connect with their local government and feel empowered to make change. So when I was working as the director of my nonprofit, I got to know Array as an organization that was really passionate and innovative. I first heard ET speak at the Endow Engage Summit in 2018. And he was talking about growing the tech industry in Wyoming as a way to create new opportunities that could keep more young folks and creative problem solvers in our state. So while I loved grassroots organizing, I knew that I wanted to build a new, more technical skill set. And I also wanted to continue to work on the frontier of change in Wyoming. So I came to Array to do both of those things. When I started this program in September, my only experience with coding at all was a super small HTML and CSS project that was part of the application process. It seemed like a very big deal at the time. So to be here today presenting a mobile app to you really shows how amazing Array's school is. So after I graduate and move into the apprenticeship, I'm really interested in continuing to work on mobile application development and user experience and user interface design. So while I was working on campaigns, one of my favorite self-care practices was tending to my ever-growing collection of houseplants. There was just something so soothing about it, and I loved how they couldn't talk back or debate me. And not to mention, having houseplants around is really good for humans, it turns out. Plants help filter out air pollutants, and they add moisture and oxygen into the air. They lower stress and mental fatigue, and have even been shown to boost creativity and mood. So when I talk about my plants, as a crazy plant lady inevitably does with my friends, they would say that they love the idea of having plants. The problem was that they just couldn't keep them alive. So I heard that a lot of the time people just didn't know how to care for their plants, and so they'd often go forgotten or end up overloved and dead one way or the other. So I thought that if people had a better way to understand the needs of their plants, they could more easily incorporate those little tasks of love and care into their daily routines. I thought that a good solution would help a person do 3 things. First, it would help them keep stock of what plants they had living in their house, spread across all the different corners and different rooms. It would, second, help them be more knowledgeable about what good care looked like for each of those plants. And third, it would help track the care that the plants were getting from regular watering to the last time that they were fertilized. So overall, it would help a person be more invested in the well-being of their plants without adding a lot of mental load. Therefore, hopefully leading to happier and healthier little green friends. So you'll see I'm surrounded by plants today. Had to set the scene. I'm going to share my app with you all. 1 second. All right. So for my capstone project for the Array Bootcamp, I made that app that I thought would be helpful. And I named it Pothos after my first plant that really thrived. I wrote this project in React Native using JavaScript. And I used the Expo platform for developing the app, and I used MongoDB Atlas along with Amazon Web Services for my cloud-hosted database. So this app, it aims to solve the most common problems that people have when it comes to keeping their houseplants alive by creating a dedicated space for their care. It's easy to use, and the personalization elements make your plants seem a little more like family. So Pothos is meant to be a pretty app that makes you feel good when you use it. And in designing the app, I used neutral colors with the greens of the plants, plus pops of color that mirror when you might have a plant that is in bloom. So let's go through a walkthrough. So when you open the app, you're greeted by this welcome screen, a little splash of happiness, right, as you start using it. You can register if you're a new user. We have some form validation here, so make sure that you enter the things you need. For today, we're going to go ahead and log into an existing account. You can email me anytime. And I'll click log in. All right, so upon logging in, you see your sill. This is where you can see all of your plants all together. You can make sure you're keeping an eye on everything so nothing goes forgotten, no matter what corner of the house it might be in. You can see a custom image for your plant as well as its name and the current location. So the first thing you might want to do is perhaps come in and add a plant. So we're going to click here. And we arrive at our browse screen. So here you can browse the database of some of the most common houseplants. Let's see. If you don't see yours here, you can check back with the next version update. But we have quite a few here. Oopsie, I scroll. Everything here from A to Z. We have aloe all the way down to the ZZ plant. So you can click on a plant to see more information. So we'll click here, this popular Monstera plant. You can see the image, its common name, and its scientific name. When you click on these icons, you'll see something that you probably want to know before you add something to your house. This is the care instructions or care information screen where you can get more information about this plant. So we have information about its watering requirements, which #1 cause of death for plants, overwatering, underwatering too, but mostly overwatering. We have information about the type of light that it likes, fertilizing needs, pruning needs, kind of everything that helps this specific plant thrive. So we can navigate back and see the spider plant. We have information for a spider plant. So this is also, you can use that for research and kind of checking out what might be a good fit for you. For today, I'm going to take you to the Golden Pothos. Why not today, right? So here again, we can click and see its information. So if we're adding a pothos to our household, we might want to know all of this. We again have some this is where we do our personalization of the plant. There's form validation here as well. So making sure that we add a name and a location. We have a couple of optional fields as well. So here we're going to name this one erasing for ET's favorite descriptive word. We're going to add it to the office, and I copy over. Right now we just have a URL field here for our image. In the future, next update will be an image uploader. So we'll add here, let's see, a little bit about what is up with this plant. We'll click add to a sill. So we'll go back to our sill and we just do a drag to update, and we have our wonderful pothos here. So we have an updated sill. Once all of your plants are on the sill, you might want to do a little more to customize them. So let's check out another plant. We'll go to Philly here, the Heartleaf philodendron. This one right here. We can again see its care icons. Make sure we know what's going on with this plant. We can see its profile here that was added when we added the plant. And we have another section down here. Once it's added to the sill, we have care notes. So these are optional fields, but they help keep track of the things that most often go forgotten, like fertilizing, pruning, and propagation. So we can click edit here, and we can, add another note here, perhaps that, let's see, field clicks sometimes are a little funky. Okay, well, we'll update this one. Fertilize it today. This one, let us click here now. Okay, there we go. Needs a haircut. Okay. And we can update this here, go back to our sill, get a little refresh, check it out down here. And we have our notes. So we have that functionality. Maybe we want to get rid of old Gemma. Let's say we gave her away. She didn't die. She's just, we just need to take her off of our sill. We can refresh and she's gone. So one of the other screens we have is our care screen. So this is where we have a display of all of the current plants on the sill. And because plant care just varies so much from one plant to the next, this app doesn't really try to keep you on a strict schedule for care. Instead, it encourages you to check in on your plants regularly and give them the care that they need. So this is where the care info part of the app comes in very useful. So once you've done your weekly checkup, all you have to do is swipe to check off the plant for the week. We'll say Philly is taken care of, and you're good. We got everybody's taken care of this week. We've got a couple more to come back to perhaps. But the list will reset on at midnight on Sunday night so that we have a refresh list every week. We can make sure everything's been taken care of. And finally, we have our account screen that just displays user account and gives the user a chance to manage their account information and sign out once they're done using the app. So that is Pothos. I want to just give a big thank you to Matt, Lindley, to ET, and all of my peers who really, it was a group effort through all of it, even with our solo projects. Really important to have each other to lean on, and just super grateful to be with this group of people. So super proud of what we've accomplished together, and can't wait to see what we do next. So that is Pothos.
Yay! All right, here we go. Clap, clap, clap.
Yes.
Thank you, LeeAnn. So, wow. Yeah, love the app. Beautifully designed. So, questions for LeeAnn, please post them in Q&A. I think Kamek had one. Are you a developer or a designer?
I'm exploring that every day. I've enjoyed very much the design aspect of my work so far. Like Tracy said, I think that it's very cool to learn how to really blend both together. So I'm still exploring that. I feel like I need more time. So I'm enjoying both. Having lots of fun learning the back end stuff is definitely a challenge, but it feels great to be learning it.
Awesome. And last question is from Professor Lindley. Where does the information for the plants come from? Like the needs information, watering, light, all that kind of stuff.
So I actually built my own database for all of that. I had quite a bit of plant knowledge. So I had another external database I was hoping to use, but it was a little more technical for like farming and stuff. So I couldn't quite get that to work. So I decided to build my own solution. So I'm using MongoDB Atlas for that.
Yeah, you definitely have a career in UI UX. Beautifully designed app, super easy to navigate and to use. So well done, well done. So thank you, LeeAnn, and I will see you at graduation tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. All right, everyone. So we are halfway through, so we're going to take a 10-minute break because up next we have Kyle, Patricia, Garrick, Mariah, and Sean. So I'm going to go ahead and start a timer. So feel free to take a little quick break, and I will see you back here in 10 minutes.